Are funds flowing into crypto ETFs ahead of Trump becoming president?
So in terms of funds specific into Bitcoin, we've seen a lot of money go into Bitcoin ETFs since the launch of really Bitcoin ETFs in the US. So I think it's several parts to the story. Number one, for the first time in the US, investors in the US had access to a Bitcoin ETF before they didn't. The only way they could have access was through a Canadian ETF. Now they do. So that moved a lot of people from, let's say, a digital wallet into an ETF structure, which is for many preferred and obviously trades on an exchange, yada, yada, yada. So we've seen a lot of money go into there. But then also the US has been on a risk-on environment, which Bitcoin very much is. So we've seen a lot of money go into that space. So much so, and as I mentioned earlier, that Bitcoin ETFs had obviously one of the most successful launches in the history of ETFs, if not the most. IBIT, for example, definitely had the most successful. So now it has over $50 billion in AUM, over $37 billion in inflows in just a year. That doesn't compare to any other ETF historically. No other ETF has had that fast of a growth in asset gathering historically than any other ETF. So you're talking about SPY, GLD, HYG, none of those have grown as much. So we've seen a massive growth in Bitcoin ETFs across the board, which just tells you a little bit of the story about the environment still very much on a risk-on environment, perhaps because of Trump, and also just access to it.